What's good, everybody? I hope you guys had a great start to your week. How'd everybody do today? What's up, Nicole? How did everybody do today? I know if you guys were around a little bit later in the day, I signaled AMD for literally a 3% stop loss, and then Tesla for a very, given the time of day, I would say it was a very nice trade. Nothing like an opening break, but unfortunately I was not able to make it this morning, so Connor and Nikita handled that. 6% on the account is fire, Logan. Let's go. Good stuff. But yeah, had a nice trade on Tesla later in the day, which is not typically something that I do, but that is when I was able to get here. So yeah, 112 on the day. Let's go. Let's go. Good stuff. All right, I want to start this off by saying anybody that's not in the floor, I'm going to be announcing code that you guys really need to take advantage of within the next 24 hours. So make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram, Threads, at KeithTrades, and you guys will see that, and you guys will use that because you're literally going to be brain dead if you don't. But anyways, that is first thing I wanted to just get out there so we don't have to do it anymore. Can't believe I have my chart pulled up to GME right now. Review the play I took. I will, Logan. I always start these off by a trade review. Austin said 290 today. Good stuff. Let's go. All right, guys. I'm going to start this stream off by going over the trade that I took today on Tesla. I can go over AMD as well if you'd like. But yeah, we're going to start this off by going over those couple of trades I took today. And yeah, after that, if you're new here, we're going to be going through my entire watch list from A to Z, seeing what I like for tomorrow and possibly even the rest of the week, just depending on when these setups end up playing out. At the end of the charting stream, I'm going to be making the watch list for tomorrow, like the full-on type out plans. And I'll be doing a Q&A if you guys have any questions for me. So make sure you stick around. These watch lists literally always have something that hits crazy nicely. So I would definitely stick around. First thing, I'm jumping too far ahead of myself here. So AMD, I took AMD attempting to take this through high of day. I took it here at, just a second, 1207. Okay, 1207. So right here on this candle, 1207, I was looking to play this 219.27 break into high of day for my target. 220 was going to be my final target on this, but we just didn't have the momentum we needed. We ended up turning around here, and I believe we stopped out on this very next candle. We stopped out on this candle right here at 1209 as we were breaking below 218.91. I had a pretty good entry on this. My entry was close to 219.11, so very small stop overall. Plus, it's Monday, so contracts aren't really moving too crazy. But yeah, that was what we took on AMD here. And then Tesla. Wow, Tesla ended up ripping. That's crazy. Okay. All right. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong time here. We actually had almost peak sell on this trade. But okay, cool. So Tesla here, I was looking at this 429.70 level for a breakout. I ended up signaling this at 1232. So on this candle right here, I signaled Tesla, played this little resistance break right here. Tesla was showing a lot of strength compared to the others here, and that is really the main reason I was looking at it. I was looking at AMD originally because it was the strongest, and then it completely just lost its strength. So Tesla remained the strongest out of everything I was looking at. I took this here, signaled it at 1232. We got in at this 429.32 level. We ended up breaking out very nicely just a couple minutes later. going straight through a trend, straight into our 429.70 level, which was the main level I was watching. I ended up taking off half on the 1235 candle right here as we broke 430. After that, I ended up taking off another small part of my position at 1237, which was this candle right here. Took off another small part of my position here at 1238 at essentially peak sell right there. And as we broke back below 429.70, I ended up just taking off the last 5 contracts I had, which still ended up being a nice trade, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't let those contracts go red. So I ended up taking off these contracts on this 1239 candle for the rest of my position. We did end up coming right back up all the way to target here at 430.72. And I scalped a very small portion of that up here. I tried to signal the scalp, but it was a bit late by the time I would have got the signal out. So I ended up scalping a very small position here from the high up to 430.72. And overall, it was a nice day, especially for starting at essentially noon. So yeah, that's what we had today. I don't know how many of you guys caught that with me. MSTR off open was nice. Yeah, I saw MSTR. That thing looked clean. I actually was looking at it at low of day for a minute. Just not looking at it seriously, but like just glancing at it. I was like, you know what? This looks so nice. And I almost guarantee you it's going to wick. And that is exactly what it did. And it ended up just tearing all the way past high of day from that point on. But yeah, that MSTR in the morning looked very, very nice. I was watching Apple 280.40 and it played out nicely. I'll check that out here. But yeah, Apple actually looks quite good here. We're coming up to all-time highs at 285. I am definitely interested in that. Apple, we played that on... I feel like we played Apple relatively recently. Yeah, we played it on 11/25, and it was super nice. We took this, and I believe in 20 seconds it was about 45%. It was ridiculous. Like by the time my contracts got done filling, I was just basically exiting the position, and I barely even had time to see what was going on at that point. I was like, my P&L for how much I was in with, I'm up good enough that I'm getting out of these. But yeah, Apple looks really nice here at 285. Nothing really in the meantime. You could probably look at the after hours high, but it's a little far for my liking. So I'm just going to wait for the all-time high on Apple. But it does look very nice. So Apple's definitely getting marked before we move on here. Just bought an Apple Watch, so if the stock goes up, you know who to thank. All right, sick Nicole. Nicole is controlling all of Apple by the one watch purchase right there. Let's see here. Nothing I'm a huge fan of on AMD. Once again, you could probably look at high of day, but it's just not that nice in my opinion. Amazon kind of looks good here. 235.80. I've got room on this to 236.40, so I don't know if that's enough room to make it worthwhile. But I'll go ahead and keep Amazon marked for now. If we see something better, I will come back and remove that. But for now, it looks all right. AVGO, kind of unplayable right now. It sold off enough this morning that it kind of just put itself in no man's land. We're about halfway between low of day and high of day right now. So tomorrow's probably just going to be a grind to somewhere day for AVGO. Baidu, if this thing had any contract volume whatsoever, 121 would look nice, but it does not. Let's see. Oh, I also just want to ask you guys while we're going through these here, have you guys been liking the consistent YouTube uploads? If you can hear my dog snorting in the background, my apologies. No. I hope you guys are liking the consistent YouTube uploads. I'm going to try and start upping it to at least 2 a week here. I was going to put one out on Thursday, and then I was like, realistically, who's going to be on their phone on Thursday? Perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it up with the YouTube uploads. I'm also gonna start putting out some educational videos here very soon. So if you guys aren't subscribed already, make sure you guys do that. Click the noties on. I'm not dropping a video unless it's some heat, and I want you guys to see it. Sweet. Sweet, sweet. Yeah, for the longest time, I was like trying to figure out how to get my OBS to be able to record vertical for short form and horizontal, and it seemed like there was no way to do it, and I just found this plugin, so I've been using it. Been quite nice for the content creation there. Wow, I'm not seeing much here in the middle of the watch list. INTC actually had a really good volume today. If we come up to 4080 on INTC, I'm interested enough just to see how this plays out that I would like to have it on the watch list. And with the volume we've got, seems pretty tradable there. Meta in the middle of low and high of day, gross. Yeah, it doesn't seem like we've got a ton going on right now. All right. Let's see here. Marvel, I'm all good. Microsoft. Wow. Definitely not what I would like to see. Oh well, let's see here. MSTR is actually trying to fill a gap to the upside after hours right now. So MSTR, I would be relatively interested here at 175.31. How much room do we have to fill this gap? We got room all the way up to 178.40. We've got about $3 a room there on MSTR. I like it. 648 on Meta looks good if we get closer towards open. Let me see here. Yeah, Meta doesn't look bad if it can get somewhere other than where it's at right now. My only problem with trying to write out a full plan right now is just we're so far away that I really can't have any super specific targets. And I would like to have super specific targets. I guess, well, let's see here. I'll do a double take here on Meta just to see. So 653.20. 653.20 is decent here. 648.50 would be our entry level. Let's just see. I really don't love anything between here and 648.50 though, and I'm not a huge fan of the downside right now. Yeah, 648.50 doesn't look bad. I'll probably put that on the watch list just in case we get there. But everything right now looks kind of like it's too far away to get to where I need it at by tomorrow morning. NVIDIA at 182.91 is a possibility. Let's see if we have anything that looks good between here and there. No. Ugh. No. If there's verbal disgust when I look at a chart, that's definitely not it. Yeah, 182.91 is fine on NVIDIA. I know, Mar. I know. I've been avoiding NVIDIA like that thing has no volume whatsoever, but it really just, I don't know, there's been no setups on it that pique my interest. The LTR looks like it's doing a whole lot of nothing right now, to be honest with you. You could probably look at Friday's high. It just doesn't look great. Looks like our watch list is going to be relatively short here, to be honest with you guys. Compared to normal, at least. Snow absolutely ripped today. What happened here? Okay. Oh, do we have earnings on snow? We do. Wednesday after close. Damn. Okay. Okay. Well, that one's out then until Wednesday at least. Tesla. This chart looks so crazy. Let's see. Yeah, Tesla even, it's just in the middle of nowhere right now, which is unfortunate. But we had a really, really nice week last week, so I can't necessarily complain too much. I would like us to clean up a little bit this week. But after the week we had last week, in really just 3 trading days, I didn't trade on Friday, and obviously market was closed on Thursday. 3 trading days, 235%. I'm not going to complain if we don't have much this week. All right. Let's see here. I want to go back through some of these that had earnings. So Crowd, or I said had earnings, has earnings tomorrow. Never mind. They have earnings tomorrow after close. It's unfortunate. Tesla, no 433. Let me see. I don't think so. Let me double check that. No, I don't like 433 at all. Yeah, I'm not a fan in the slightest of that. Doesn't mean that it's not something you could look at, but I don't love it. Okay, it actually looks like probably our best setup for tomorrow is Apple. Surprisingly, Amazon is still making the cut to stay on the watch list, and that's saying something because I haven't traded Amazon and I don't even know how long. But okay, cool. Let's go ahead and get the watch list out here and start writing this stuff out. All right, Apple, first off. Gotta fix that real quick. Okay, Apple, I'm gonna be looking at the Apple chart first. Okay, Apple, I'm gonna be looking at the 285 all-time high for a breakout, targeting a move to no trends. Okay, we have anything on the daily? No, we do not. For the weekly, no, we do not. Okay, so Apple, realistically, I think we can see a pretty easy dollar break on this. I don't think it should be too difficult, depending on how we get up there. If we're overextended by the time we get to that level, then maybe not. But if we set up properly at 285, we should be able to see a dollar break. So I'm going to be targeting a move to 286 on this. Overall, my targets will be determined by momentum. given that this is an all-time high break with no real levels to target. Okay. Here we go. Next up, Amazon here. Amazon is forming a nice breakout pattern. Amazon, I'm looking at the 235.80 resistance for a breakout, targeting a move to, well, playing this into the 236 break, targeting a move to the next resistance area at 236.40. Above this, we have room to the 15-minute trend at 237.18 for my absolute final target. INTC. Forming an inverse H on the 1 hour time frame, looking at the 40.80 resistance after the insane run up on Friday, targeting a move to the 41 break, then looking for momentum after that for my final target. I just saw what you said, Mar. All right, Meta. Currently in a wedge, but if we can break this to the upside, I will be looking at the 648.50 flat top for a breakout. BRAK, break, there we go, breakout. Targeting a move into the 650 break. Above this, I have room to the next resistance and 1 hour trend that line up at 653.20. 1 hour up trend. There we go. Next up here, we have MSTR. Recovered nicely after a major sell-off in the morning. Looking at the 175.31 after hours high, which continues a gap fill that gives us room up to 178.40. Depending on where we open, if there is enough room left in the gap, I will just be looking at the pre-market high. Lovely. All right. NVIDIA. Looking at the 182.91. Resistance for a breakout. Targeting a break above the next resistance at 183.50. Then the 184 break. In order to see this level, we will need to break out of the 1 hour downtrend channel, which should overall give us more momentum into our entry level. Beautiful. And then is that the last thing I had? I don't have anything on Tesla. Yikes, that was quick. That was too quick. All right, Amazon is upside. INTC is upside. Meta is upside. MSTR is upside. I feel like we need some downside because everything here is upside. I'm going to go back here and just see if I'm missing anything. Google to the downside. I was actually kind of looking at this today. The after hours low from Friday at 314 looks good if we can get down here. We've got room on this descending wedge. That doesn't look too bad. I'm going to throw Google on here just so we have something for the downside in case we tank overnight. Looking at the 314 after hours low from Friday for a breakdown. Targeting a move to the next support at 312.80. I'm going to put in parentheses here, previous resistance. Below this, we have room to the bottom of the descending wedge on the 30-minute at 312.37 for my final target. I'm going to put another Google down here too, because at 311.88, I would look at this to the downside as well. Google 2, there we go. Looking at the 311.88 support on the, I believe this is a 1 hour level, right? Yes. Okay. Targeting momentum into the 310 break. Okay. Got Google downside. All right, there we go. That is the watch list that I've got, guys. Like I said, and it says this in the title as well, if you guys have any questions for me, we can feel free to turn this into a Q&A session for the remainder of the stream. We've got about 28 minutes left here, so if you guys would like to do that, get your questions ready. I'm going to get rid of my face for a second. You guys can screenshot this watch list. Use it to your advantage. Make sure you screenshot it. If you're not in the floor, screenshot it, save it, plot out the levels, use it, do what you got to do. If you are in the floor, I'm sending it to the chat right now. And I'm going to give you a minute here to come up with your questions. But just remember, there is no such thing as a stupid question, especially when it comes to trading. So if you feel like you have a stupid question, ask it anyways. All right. I think that was enough time for you guys to screenshot. Do you usually take off 50% on your first scale out, or depends? I almost always take off 50% on my first scale out. The reason for that is because if I take off half my position and for some reason I don't move my stop to break even, which I almost always do, um, I could still hit my stop loss and have a green trade, right? I could still hit my original stop loss on that setup and still have a green trade if I take off 50% of my position. So um, that's why I usually scale out with 50% on my first sell. I say not to really focus on the dollar amount much, but typically when I'm taking off half of my position, it's when I'm up at least unrealized around 1,000. So like bare minimum, I'm making at least 500 on that trade, especially if it's a good trade. The reason for that, and the reason that I'm giving that a little bit of an exception when I say don't focus on the P&L, is because if I have a solid trade already, like if I've got a solid trade under my belt, I'm in the position right now, I don't want to completely waste a good trade just trying to be greedy and grab an extra couple dollars off of that, and risk giving back my whole position, if that makes sense. So yes, I do typically scale out of half, for two reasons. One, because I can still hit the OG stop loss and be green on the trade. And two, because even if I hit break even on the rest, I'm still going to be up a pretty decent amount on that trade. So yes, I almost always take off 50% on the first scale out. It's mainly a safety thing more than anything. I always try and look at my trades from a worst case scenario perspective. So when I do that and I keep my scaling in check, it puts me in a very safe position almost 100% of the time. So yeah. I don't necessarily think that that's the way that you have to do it. I just know that that's the way that keeps me in the most risk adverse position as possible. Can you review my trade I took today? I took QQQ at 11.18, got out at 11.42. It was tanking but held up above my support level, so I saw it as a higher low and took the trade to a new high. Yeah, I'll go over that for sure. Give me just a second here. Also, guys, since I know a lot of you don't have questions for me, even though I really think you do and you're just not asking, I'm going to ask you guys a question as soon as my dog stops being as loud as he possibly can be. I'm going to say, what kind of educational content do you guys want to see on the channel? Like, we got the live trades. The live trades are being pumped out by default. But as far as educational videos go, I don't want to make completely redundant content. I feel like it's probably good to start off there with like the absolute baseline knowledge, but I want to make videos that you guys are actually going to find useful after you're past the complete beginner stage. You just start scaling out, man. I can maximize my trades. Of course, that's the whole reason I do it. I put myself at pretty much no risk, and then I see what the trade can give me. That's literally what scaling is for. Take almost all the risk off the table and then see what you can do with that trade. Now I still don't take that to the full extreme of just like blindly hold just because, but it's the safest and easiest way to see your targets get hit on a consistent basis. Okay, let's see here. QQQ at 11.18. Let's see. Where is 11.18? Okay. Depending on where you took this on this candle, that's a super solid entry. I want to just see here. Are we holding like a perfect uptrend on this, or did it? Okay, not quite, but either way. Okay, really solid entry. 1142 is your exit. See, you guys that are able to, I mean, I'm able to, I just really don't want to, but you guys that thrive for these like 20 something minute long trades, I I hate it. I hate it. When I'm in a 20-minute plus trade, it makes me feel like I've been at my computer for literally a week at the break. So essentially, what, right here at the bottom at like 615.80. I like the entry. The entry's solid. I would imagine your stop loss was going to be somewhere around this candle's low. Um, I see the thought process for sure. I like the trade. The exit was also solid. You sold, I would imagine, on the break of this resistance, which is exactly where I would have taken my profits if I was taking this trade. I really like it. Um, now, as far as this trade goes, the only thing that I would say with this for me, not for you necessarily, for me in my specific position, which not everybody is in, where I kind of have to make sure I have exactly, I can't have much leeway on my plans or my entries or my exits, especially being on mic. Like I've got to kind of have everything dialed as much as I possibly can. For me, that is a relatively risky entry that I would be hesitant to take just because I know that I could be stopped out in literally a few seconds. I'm sure you knew that going into this, but if your stop loss was down here right around 615.28 and you got in at what, 80, you're risking about 60 cents, 62 cents. I'm sorry, I'm brain is cooked today. 58 cents. Um, bro, math. 52 cents. 52 cents. Yeah, that's not bad at all. For QQQ, that is a, depending on what contracts you're playing, those contracts could take a fairly decent hit by this stop loss, but I don't really see anywhere else that I would have a stop loss on this trade other than that right around 40 cent to 30 cent area. But your risk to reward on the trade is obviously super solid. I don't know if you had any other kind of triggers for entry there, or if it was solely based off of you saw this as a higher low, so you expected to see a higher high. If it was just that, I would say that I would probably need a little bit more confirmation before I would take this. But overall, I mean, great entry, great exit. I think by yourself, you have a lot more leeway with your entries. Like you could stop out on this pretty quickly and retry it if it came back, or stop out on it pretty quickly and just be done without having to, worry about being in and stopped out within a half a second. So I think overall the trade is super solid. Your risk to reward is definitely there. Your target is exactly where mine would have been. I'm not gonna lie though, just looking at holding for that just seems like hell. And I know there's trades that I've taken that I have to hold for way longer than I want to, but like, and like Nikita, I don't know how long he typically holds all of his trades, but I know some of them, like he goes into the trade knowing it's gonna be like 20 minutes plus, and I'm like, bro, there's no way I'm gonna purposely take a trade that takes that long. Like, no part of me wants to be involved with that. Been watching that level since November 17th. Got you. Yeah, no, I really like it. Great entry, great exit. In the meantime, you really had no drawdown at all, so seems like it was a relatively easy hold, other than just the on the edge of your seat back and forth grind for 20 minutes. But yeah, I like it. That's solid. Solid, solid. Yeah, does anybody else have any questions here? Or does anybody have any answers for my questions? I feel like I need to put some like background music behind this stream or something to retain as many people as I can. I see people joining and leaving, watching a dead silent portion of a stream. Probably not very fun. All right. Is that all? Nobody has any other questions and nobody has any answers for what kind of videos they want to. No problem, Ray. Well, all right, guys. If that's it, then I hope you have a great rest of your night. I will talk to you all first thing in the morning for pre-market review. Make sure that you guys are paying attention tomorrow, because if you're not in the chat and you want to try it out, want to join, just make sure you're paying attention to my socials tomorrow. At KeithTrades on Instagram, at KeithTrades on Threads, at KeithTrades on YouTube. Subscribe, like the stream, comment on the videos, whatever you want to do. But pay attention tomorrow. We're one day late, but I guess we can have a Cyber Tuesday. We're creating a Cyber Tuesday. But yeah, all right, guys. I hope you have a good rest of your night. Thank you all for sticking around. Pre-market review first thing in the morning. I will see you all there. Yeah, I think that's all. I hope you guys have a good night.